Hey guys, looks like it's beer 30. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews. Today we got us another sour beer here. This is Crooked Stave Brewing's. They're out of Denver, Colorado. This is their Nightmare on Brett. And what it says here, Nightmare on Brett, dark sour ale aged in Leopold Brothers whiskey barrels with blueberries. So, sounds rather interesting, does it not? Uh, and they made, according to what I've seen here, they've made a bunch of different versions of this. So this is the one that's done in the loophole whiskey with blueberries added. Not a huge beer, 9.666%. Ooh, they could have let that last six off of there, couldn't they? Yeah. 375 milliliter. Serve 46 to 54 degrees, and this is the January 2016, and we're here at the end of April. This is April the 22nd of 2017, so it's been in the bottle over a year. January, February, March, April, about 12, 13, 14, about 15 months in the bottle here, guys. And this one sent to me by my brother Nate out there in Colorado. Thanks again, Nate. I do appreciate it, sir. Still trying to wrap my arms around these sour wild ale beers, guys. Some of them are really tasty. Most of them are really tasty, but it is an acquired taste, no doubt, to me. So let's see what it brings to the table and see how much I enjoy this one. Like I told you, 9.6. I don't think I have the IBUs. It's not listed here on Rate Beer. Let's see what Untapped has. No. So we don't have the IBUs listed here on this beer. So, commercial description says dark sour ale aged in Leopold Brothers whiskey barrel. Same thing I read off the label here, guys. And like I told you, they did a bunch of different versions of this. Let's see what this brings to the table. Let's get this thing opened up. Very colorful cap on the top. Let's see what kind of hits we get. I hope it's not a gusher. I'm gun shy on these beers now. Little hits on that. Alright, let's get it into the glass. Cheeses are peppery, Monterey, pepper jack, your stronger pungent cheeses, Gorgonzola, Limburger, and it says General Salad on here. Flute, tulip, oversized wine glass, and can be sold for a long period of time, guys. Guys, I have never brewed anything with Brettanomyces yeast because once it gets into your system, you cannot get it out. You have to use dedicated equipment, dedicated buckets, or whatever you're brewing because the sanitizer will not get that Brettanomyces yeast out. And it contaminates everything. So you have to use dedicated equipment to brew with this. And even still, sometimes it goes crazy. It goes wild, as they say. So, not much of a head, just barely covering the top of the glass. Pretty dark beer. Almost looks like a stout in a glass. I'm not even getting any red ribbiness around the thin part down here. Let's put a nose to it. Definitely tell the Brettanomyces wild sour yeast, and that is big time. It's sour on the nose. I mean, I'll get that tartness right up through the nostrils here. It's a tart beer. I'm not getting a lot of blueberries on the nose right now. That may be in the taste. And the Brettanomyces yeast is just overpowering everything, guys. It's very strong. You can definitely tell by the smell that it is a Brett or wild sour yeast. Well, let's dive in and see what we got. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Nate. The first sips on these styles of beer, boy, this makes me pucker up. It is sour and tart. Wow. There is some berryness to it, whether it's the blueberries or whatever. Wow. This has been the toughest style of beer that I have ever tried to wrap my arms around. These sour beers are just so hard for me to get a grasp on. But I do enjoy tasting them occasionally. I don't buy a whole lot of these style beers, guys, because I still haven't got my arms wrapped around them. But I do appreciate getting to try them and sample them. So Nate, thanks again, my brother. I do appreciate you sending this to me. Right now, it's right out of the fridge. The yeast is overpowering everything. There is some berryness in there, well, blueberries, blackberries, or whatever. There is some berryness. I am getting some of that berry fruitness to it. But it's right out of the fridge, so let's sip on this for a little bit. Let it come up to room temperature and see if I can find anything else in the beer other than the Brett sour tartness to it. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. I just a little left here. To me, the yeast is just overpowering everything, guys. It's just, if you like a sour tart beer, you're probably going to love this. If you're looking for big notes of blueberries in there or some of the whiskey, you're not going to find it. I can't. This style of beer has been so hard for me to wrap my arms around. The yeast usually overpowers everything. It's so strong, so bold. If this beer was a school bus, it would be taking up every seat except for the back seat, maybe. The yeast is just overpowering everything. It's so hard for me to wrap my arms around this. All I usually get from these beers, guys, is the yeast. It's just so strong and overpowering. Heavily on the tart, sour notes too. But a lot of people love that. They like that sour tartness of these sour wild ale Brettanomyces style beers. I mean, if it's got any kind of whiskey influence, it is so subtle now. It may be a slight hint of some of the whiskey in there, but the yeast is just overpowering everything. Well, I mean, I've been trying for a couple of years to wrap my arms around this style of beer, but it has been a chore. I mean, every time I take a sip of this, it just makes me do one of those numbers. But if you like that style of beer, more power to you. I mean, it has been a tough one for me to wrap my arms around this. Final chug. A lot of the beers that are aged in whiskey barrels, you get that whiskey. You get bourbon notes or whatever, depending on the barrel. And if it's been brewed with blueberries, usually you'll get those traces in there also. But these sour wild ale or Brettanomyces beers, the yeast is so overpowering. It's hard for me to pick up on those notes and those nuances that should be going along with the beer. So, to me, guys, I'm sure it's a well-made beer. I'm not getting any of the alcohol, 9.6666666% ABV on this, so very well made. but I'm just not getting a lot of the other stuff that should be in this beer with the whiskey and the blueberries. So the yeast is just so overpowering to me. Just my opinion, though. Just my opinion. There are so many people that clamor and love this style of beer. So I don't want to degrade the beer because my palate can't handle it. But the yeast is just so overwhelming in this style of beer to me. All right, to me, guys, I'm gonna give it to B plus. And there's people say, "Oh my God, that's a 10 beer. What are you talking about?" I'm not gonna argue with that. And my poor little palate can't handle it. I just don't think it. I know it's a well-made beer. I probably should give it to A minus. It is so damn close. Yeah, it's got the date on there, the vintage on the bottle. It's got the ABV on the bottle. I should give it to A minus. Let me do that. But it is right at the verge there, guys. 90 for me, just barely into the A category. That's where I'm going to put it. Over to Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate says 96. There you go. I mean, right off the bat, I'm probably giving it a lower number than I probably should be. This is probably an awesome, freaking awesome beer. But my poor puny little palate can't handle it. So it's my problem. It's not the beer's problem. This is probably a world-class beer, guys. It is. So, over to Rate Beer. Rate Beer says 99 overall, 96 in the style. So I'm definitely giving this beer a lower number than it probably deserves, guys. I mean, it's very easy. You say, "Oh man, you're crazy. This is an awesome beer. It's world class." People are clamoring to get their hands on this. I would not be surprised. Nate, I'm sorry, buddy. My poor puny little palate is not up to the par on this beer. It probably is a 9 or a 10 beer. Final check-in, we'll run over to Untapped. Untapped has it at 4.35. That's in their solid A category. It's an A beer, guys, no doubt about it. Whether you think it's an A minus, an A, or an A plus beer, it is an A beer. It's definitely worth picking up if you're into this style of beer. So don't let my grade influence you on this if you're into this style of beer. It is probably a 9 or a 10 beer. My poor puny little palate just can't handle these sour beers quite yet. But I know it's a well-made beer because I didn't get any of the alcohol. I just want to get a little bit more of the blueberries that they used in this, and maybe a little bit of the whiskey notes, which I am not getting. It's just so overpowering with the yeast profile. So that's where I'm going to put it, and that's what everybody else has got it. If you had this from Crooked Stave, their Nightmare on Brett, this is their blueberry edition. Let me know what you think. We'll back tomorrow, guys. Let's see what's in the fridge.